First thing we have to discuss is this story that broke this afternoon about Mark Robinson. And I wanted to give you a little rundown. I know I made a video about Mark Robinson just a week or two ago because he was in the news for other reasons. But this is the Republican who's running for governor of North Carolina. He is like he's just an awful person and an awful candidate. And the only reason I've followed this guy over the past several years is because he's currently lieutenant governor of North Carolina. And there have been so many discovered clips of Mark Robinson speaking to church audiences saying horrible, horrible things. And this is like before he was running for governor. Just to give you a heads up on this stuff, among the things he has said that forcing religion in public schools could prevent mass shootings, like mandatory prayer in schools. He has said transgenderism and homosexuality are filth. He has said the trans movement is demonic and full of antichrist spirit. He has said straight couples are superior to gay ones. You may have heard this one. This past summer, he told an audience that some folks need killing. Like, just horrible things to say. You can't moderate your way out of some of those things. Mark Robinson also denies the Holocaust. As I mentioned before, like in 2018, he posted something on Facebook where he wrote about the foolishness. He wrote about how the foolishness about Hitler disarming millions of Jews and then marching them off to concentration camps is a bunch of hogwash, which is really a delightful way to deny history. And this is the guy who decided to run for governor. What else has he said? When it comes to abortion, he's been just as extreme. He said in a 2021 speech that once a woman is pregnant, it's not her body anymore. His campaign website said he would honor the sanctity of life. That phrase is now missing from his current campaign website. He has made a campaign ad this cycle that says, of course, he wants to protect women who are victims of rape and incest, but his past comments suggest he would never allow any exceptions to abortion bans. But then, at the same time, we also know this guy paid for an abortion in 1989. That was news. He paid for one. His wife has screwed the state out of money. She screwed the Girl Scouts out of money. I think they sued her and they won. And so this is the guy that Donald Trump has fully endorsed. This is the guy who decided to run for governor. And the reason I brought him up a couple of weeks ago is because there was a news report out that in the 1990s and early 2000s, this is like 10 years after he told the world he found Jesus, this guy was a 5 nights a week regular at local porn shops, where he would visit and watch adult content in a private booth. They also, this was confirmed by several people who either worked there or also attended those locations. One guy also said Mark Robinson purchased hundreds of bootleg videos that he was selling. Quote, he was good for at least one a week. And the reason, and some of the stuff that he sold to Mark Robinson was, quote, super hardcore. So again, and as I mentioned when I talked about this story, I don't actually care what this guy does in his spare time. Honestly, I don't even care to shame him for any of that stuff. It's the hypocrisy, because Mark Robinson has just been speaking to Christian organizations for years, goes to churches, talks about sin and everyone else's sin and being gay is a sin. Meanwhile, this guy's just spending all his free time doing things that if I told you a drag queen did them, he'd be like, see, I told you they were horrible. So that's what we talked about a couple weeks ago when that became news, because his campaign denied everything. They literally called the story bullshit and then said, but yeah, Mark Robinson totally knows your source in the story, just not for the reason the source says, right? The source actually said to the news outlet, I know he might have problems with gay people, but I don't think he has problems with lesbians, which was hilarious. And so this is Mark Robinson. And then And then the reason we have to talk about him today, Thursday, September 19th, is because this afternoon, CNN broke a story that apparently Mark Robinson's campaign knew was coming out for like 2 days. And so they've been trying to get ahead of this story. Mark Robinson canceled some of the appearances he was scheduled to make over the past couple of days. I think they lied and said he had COVID. And so they didn't have to show up to those things. Mark Robinson put out a video this afternoon before any article came out saying, whatever you read about me, it's a lie. Like before anyone even knew what it was about. And it's like, we just read about you going to a porn shop like 5 nights a week. How on earth is some news story gonna be worse than that? And all we knew is it's a CNN story, but the content of it, we don't know yet. And all of a sudden, you start thinking, wait, like every Republican, because Mark Robinson is this MAGA cultist, every Republican in a position of power has pictures with the guy. They've all endorsed the guy. So, like, what? Are they all going to walk back with their endorsement now? Also interesting, Mark Robinson is currently losing in polling to the Democrat Josh Stein in North Carolina. He's losing by a lot, to the point that people are concerned he's actually going to drag Donald Trump down, as if such a thing were possible, in North Carolina, which is a relatively swingy state. So, like, Mark Robinson is not doing well as a Republican right now, and that's before this article came out. So there's some background for you. And I will tell you, I read some bits and pieces of the story, but I have not had time yet to read the entire thing. And so I figured, well, I have you all here tonight. Why don't I just read it with you and we'll go piece by piece and find out what horrible things he did. So this is from CNN. This is from Andrew Kaczynski, is one of the co-authors on this, and M. Steck. But Andrew Kaczynski is famous on CNN for basically, there we go. He's basically famous for digging into someone's internet history. So let's go through this together. Mark Robinson, the controversial and socially conservative Republican nominee for governor of North Carolina, made a series of inflammatory comments on a pornography website's message board more than a decade ago, in which he referred to himself as a black Nazi, all caps, and expressed support for reinstating slavery, a CNN K-File investigation found. Who comments on the message board of a porn website? That's an interesting place to make comments. Like, if they said a Reddit subreddit or something, I'd be like, yeah, all right, I get that. Nope, he's doing it on a porn website. And he's, okay, let's keep going because we'll get back to all these things. Despite a recent history of anti-trans rhetoric, Robinson said he enjoyed watching transgender pornography. A review of archived messages found, in which he also referred to himself as a perv. Well, he's self-aware. That's good. He enjoys watching trans porn. This is a guy who has called trans people filth, but in his spare time, okay. By the way, and I'll say this to Den since you're moderating, if any questions come up as we're going through this, feel free to just send them up here because we're doing this live. I'm not waiting until the end here. Let's see. The comments, which Robinson denies making, predate his entry into politics and current stint as North Carolina's lieutenant governor. They were made under a username that CNN was able to identify as Robinson by matching a litany of biographical details and a shared email address between the two. My dude, what are you doing? You don't use the same email to do everything. No, everyone knows that. Okay. Many of Robinson's comments were gratuitously sexual and lewd in nature. They were made between 2008 and 2012 on Nude Africa, a pornographic website that includes a message board. 2008 and 2012. Okay, so at this point in his biography, he said he found Jesus in the late 1980s. And the porn shop stuff that happened a couple of weeks ago was in the 90s and 2000s. And his argument, or like one excuse people gave for him, is, okay, well, just because you find Jesus, you may still be a sinner. Like, it's not like you just go cold turkey on your sins. It takes a while to really embrace whatever the message of Jesus is. if this happened in 2008 and 2012, you can't pretend like it happened when you were a kid. You didn't know any better. This is happening when he's a full grown adult, long after the porn shop stuff. Just, okay, interesting. Um, the comments were made under the username Mini Soldier, a moniker Robinson used frequently online. Robinson listed his full name on his profile for Nude Africa. Weird choice. Like, why are you listing your full name on the profile you are using to comment on a porn site? I don't know, as well as an email address he used on numerous websites across the internet for decades. CNN is reporting only a small portion of his comments on the website, given their graphic nature. So keep that in mind. Everything you're about to hear is a tiny portion because there's a whole bunch of really horrible stuff he said that's worse than any of this, that even CNN's like, yeah, it's too much. We can't show you. He didn't go cold turkey and show chicken. Well played. Screenshots show Robinson use Mini Soldier all over the internet. What do we got? Facebook post showing his Twitter handle, of course. Pinterest. Yes, degeneracy is when you're not me, but do exactly the same thing that I do. I don't know where that's from, but I like it. But yeah, this is Mark Robinson. Again, you never listen to what they say. You see what they do. And Mark Robinson has spent years calling out people as if they're the evil ones, as if they're degenerate. And again, I don't even think looking at any of this stuff is evil. But again, here he is doing it. It's the projection. It's the hypocrisy. So he has a Pinterest with the same name. He has a YouTube channel with the same username. He has a Discus profile. Black Planet. So everything. He's using the same screen name for all of these places. Many of Robinson's comments on Nude Africa stand in contrast, no kidding, to his public stance on issues such as abortion and trans rights. Publicly, Robinson has fiercely argued that people should use bathrooms only that correspond to the gender they were assigned at birth. He also said trans women should be arrested for using women's restrooms. If you're a man on Friday night and all of a sudden Saturday you feel like a woman and you want to go into the women's bathroom in the mall, you will be arrested or whatever we got to do to you, he said in February of 2024. We're going to protect our women. That's not how it works. If you're a man on Friday night and then you decide suddenly over the weekend that you're now a woman, that's not how trans people work. Don't understand it. He doesn't understand it. Anyway, yet privately, under the username Mini Soldier on Nude Africa, Robinson graphically described his own sexual arousal as an adult from the memory of secretly peeping on women in public gym showers as a 14-year-old. Robinson recounted the story as a memory he said he still fantasized about. I came to a spot that was a dead end, but it had two big vent covers over it. It just so happened it overlooked the showers. I sat there for about an hour and watched as several girls came in and showered, he wrote on Nude Africa. Okay, hold on. So when he was 14, he was peeping on women in public gym showers. Not okay. Obviously, lack of consent there. And now, as a grown-ass man, he's thinking back to that as part of his spank bank. I don't love that. That's creepy. You know, Mike Huckabee, I think it was Mike Huckabee several years ago, he like gave away his thinking too, because he was talking about trans people. Of course, he was saying horrible things about them, but I'm pretty sure Mike Huckabee said something like, man, if I were a little boy today, if I were in high school today or something, I would pretend to be a girl and then I would go to the girls' locker room just so I could see everything. I'm paraphrasing, but it was some version of that. Like he was saying he would totally do that if he could get away with it, as if like that's a thing as an adult he's thinking he wants to do. It was creepy then because also it's like, dude, no one's trying to do that. That seems to be a thing you've thought a lot about. And Mark Robinson is apparently that same person. What a creep. And these are the family values, folks. No kidding. Again, dude, one, don't have that thought. That's creepy. Why is it fun for you to fantasize about watching women who don't want you to watch them? That crosses a weird ass line. And then why are you telling other people about it? even though you're using a screen name that is apparently connected to your bio that everyone can figure out. That's weird. That is creepy. And then he keeps writing, oh, the new Republicans only give lip service to family values. It's all been a lie. That's not a new thing, though. That's been like a constant Republican thing, hasn't it? They always talk about family values, and they're always hypocrites about it. Whether it's like Newt Gingrich, Dennis Hastert, all those people from the 90s, like they've always been this hypocritical. Oh, there's more. I went peeping again the next morning. Spank Bank is a charm, damn it. I went peeping again the next morning, Robinson wrote. But after that, I went back. The ladder was locked. So those 2 times were the only times I got to do it. Ah, memories. Dude, no. Creepy. Weird. That's disturbing. So old Mark Robinson is like, man, I wish I could go back to when I was 14 and staring at people unwillingly. Anyway, in other comments on Nude Africa, Jesus, there's so many comments, aren't there? Robinson discussed his affinity for transgender pornography. I'm not saying the word, I know it's a slur, but I'm glad CNN printed it so they can all see what he wrote. I like watching tran on girl porn. That's effing hot. It takes the man out while leaving the man in, Robinson wrote. And yeah, I'm a perv too. That's not even a good comment. That's weird. I don't care what this guy watches. I don't care what he enjoys. I do not get the commenting on it. And also, again, obviously, what he says about trans people publicly now, what he says about sex now, what he says about abortion now, totally different from the guy he was, what was it, 30, 40 years ago? No, it was like 10 years ago. He's the same dude. But again, he wants you to pretend that that has nothing to do with him. Jesus. In an interview with CNN on Thursday, which I believe CNN is airing tonight with Andrew Kaczynski, Robinson repeatedly denied that he made the comments on Nude Africa, which he did with his actual username and email address. This is not us. These are not our. Who's our? Why is he pluralizing this? This is not us. These are not our words. And this is not anything that is characteristic of me. My dude, this is 100% characteristic of you. Presented with a litany of evidence connecting him with the mini soldier username on Nude Africa, Robinson said, I'm not going to get into the minutia of how somebody manufactured these salacious tabloid lies. In order for someone to manufacture this, I'm trying to imagine they have to go back in time like 10 years, 12 years, whatever it was, before he was a public figure, make up the username and all the horrible comments in Mark Robinson's name and like what? Wait until he becomes lieutenant governor? Wait until he's running for governor? Kelly says, sounds like he's trying to compete with Trump's outrageous rhetoric. The problem with Trump's outrageous rhetoric, though, Trump lies and then doubles down on the lie and has no shame about it. Mark Robinson, I think, because he's relatively new to the spotlight, he doesn't know how to have no shame like Trump does. He's like, no, you're lying. It's a conspiracy or something. Like, how dare you accuse me? Trump would have moved on to like 12 other conspiracy theories by now. Mark Robinson's doing the dumb thing of going to a CNN interview about all this to deny it, even though it's not like it's one incident that he got caught in. This has been the reporting on Mark Robinson for so many months now. So this guy is denying the obvious, but like, you think there's not more that's going to come out about this guy? That would be fascinating. CNN first reached out to Robinson Tuesday morning with evidence connecting him to the comments on Nude Africa. It took his campaign 2 days to respond and issue a denial. I would love to know the conversation that happened in their campaign offices about how to respond to this. Like, do you think they asked Mark Robinson, hey, we got an email from CNN. Is this stuff true? Because they would have gone back to the website. They would have like looked at the email history and the comment history to check out what he wrote. Because also they want to get ahead of anything more horrible that he may have said. Like, why did it take 2 days? Is Mark Robinson like thinking, oh yes, this website. Give me a moment, gentlemen. I need a minute. 2 days to issue a denial. Why? Because CNN said, "Hey, we're going to publish this and you have until like tonight if you want to get back to us because we got the goods." By the way, this is something I have learned from reading these types of reports. Anytime I go to a website about some pastor saying something bad on Facebook, someone on YouTube in a live stream or something, I tend to automatically download the content and take screenshots like before I write anything about it, because odds are if anything goes public, they're going to start deleting things. Like I guarantee some of these things that Mark Robinson supposedly wrote are probably gone because he went or by now because he went through and started deleting stuff. I would be very curious about that. Hopefully this will end his political career. First of all, Blaze Bunny, we're not done with the article yet. But second thing is, I even can tell you what, Den, hold this comment. Let's come back to this at the end because I do want to address that. We'll come back to that. About the giant, we'll come back to that too. Oh, I don't even know this. I don't know what that's in reference to. Keep going. During his interview with CNN, Robinson repeatedly said the issues that faced North Carolinians were more important than what he called tabloid trash, and he steered the conversation toward attacking his opponent in the race, Democrat Josh Stein, the state's attorney general. "We are not getting out of this race. There are people who are counting on us to win this race," Robinson said. "Yeah, I'm sure there are. They're counting on you to make sure you're horrible in office. They're called Republicans. I hope he doesn't get out of the race. I hope he stays in it." So actually going back to that comment about whether this will end his political career, I don't know how arrogant Mark Robinson is. Like again, for all the criticism I have of Joe Biden, I think stepping down was a really hard thing for him to do, and I'm so grateful that he did that. I can't imagine there are many Republicans in a position of power or on the ballot hoping to get a position of power that would ever consider dropping out if if they don't have to. And Mark Robinson would rather, I think, knowing what I know about Mark Robinson, I think he would rather, now that this stuff is out, he's not trying to hide anything. He would rather stay on the ballot and lose the race and drag everyone down with him than step away right now and let some generic Republican take his spot. Because right now, if he dropped out, he would forever be known as Mark Robinson, the guy known for all of this stuff. Like, there's no coming back from that. If you stay in the race and maybe you win, then this stuff fades away because now we're only paying attention to the decisions you make as governor. So I don't think he's going to leave. I think he's too arrogant to drop out. And I don't think this is the end of his political career unless other Republicans, including Donald Trump, who have hitched their wagon to Mark Robinson, decide we're not letting you bring us down. We are forcing you out, which in a way is what Democrats did with Joe Biden, and he stepped down. But that's a Democrat. I don't know that Republicans have that in them. Okay, history of controversial statements. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because I've already gone through some of his controversial statements. Yes. Writing as mini soldier on Nude Africa in December 2010, Robinson said he did not care about a celebrity having an abortion. "I don't care. I just want to see the sex tape." My dude, keep these thoughts to yourself. In another thread, commenters considered whether to believe the story of a woman who said she was raped by her taxi driver while intoxicated. In response, Robinson wrote, "And the moral of this story, don't F a white bee." Really? That's the takeaway? I feel like if a pastor delivered a sermon on this, that would not be the moral of the story. But okay. Guy's moral compass is kind of broken. Robinson, who would become North Carolina's first black governor if elected, also repeatedly maligned civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., attacking him in such intense terms that a user accused him of being a white supremacist. "Get that effing commie bastard off the National Mall," Robinson wrote about the dedication of the memorial to King. It's kind of funny because I believe Donald Trump has said Mark Robinson is Martin Luther King on steroids, and that's a compliment, apparently. And here's Robinson saying, "I hate MLK. I'm not in the KKK. They don't let blacks join. If I was in the KKK, I would have called him. I'm not saying that either." What is up with this dude? My God. Like, I feel in some ways when I hear those new atheists talk, I think they get so addicted to being reactionary And when they did it with God, then they said something unpopular. God doesn't exist. They got so much praise for it. And I think they were right about that. And then they got addicted to thinking, if everyone believes something, I must say the opposite. Everyone's going to hate me for it, but I'm used to it saying controversial things. And a handful of very horrible people are going to love it. And I do everything for them. It's like how Elon Musk uses Twitter now. And that's what it sounds like. The question is, who is Mark Robinson trying to impress when he says all these things that make him sound like a white supremacist? Who is his audience? Because again, he was not in public office. Is he trying to impress the other commenters on the porn site, which is a weird group of people to try to impress? We talked about his porn shop visitations. Yes, yes, yes. He'll stay in and blame the liberals. Steroids do turn men into a-holes. I believe that. We talked about this stuff. There's Mark Robinson right there. What else do we have? In the profile, Mini Soldier listed his name as Mark Robinson, disclosed a private email address he used elsewhere online. In 2012, a user responded to a comment by calling Mini Soldier Mark. Someone gave it away. That's great. Okay, so all the identifying details about his profile match up with the bio we already know about this dude. Oh, he's on Adult Friend Finder too. Lovely. Nude Africa, Facebook. All right. He's giving away okay, his bio matches up. We know it's him. All the details match up. I do not get that this guy made a special username that he comments on a porn site with and just then uses the same like avatar and biographical details. Like if you're going through the trouble of making a username that hopefully no one can figure out, and then you just attach everything about you to it. The web archive shows a user named Mini Soldier describe themselves just as Mark Robinson is. Yeah, okay. Is there anything else here that is? Oh, I remember skimming through this. This is interesting. Robinson's unique choice of language further links him to the Mini Soldier alias on the porn forums. Uncommon phrases such as "gag a maggot," "dunderhead," "I don't give a frog's ass," and "I don't give two shakes of it" were used both by Mini Soldier on Nude Africa and by Robinson on Facebook. My God. Wait, is he actually live right? Me? Yes. I'm reading this now. If you're talking about Mark Robinson on CNN, I think that might have been taped earlier. What else do we got here? In the porn forums, he revealed his unvarnished thoughts. Can I just say, I love the idea that CNN knew that this guy was Mark Robinson, and without telling Mark Robinson, they just went through, I don't know, years and years of comments on this forum and just put together the whole dossier on this guy. And now they can literally confront him about it, knowing they have screenshots, knowing they have all the documentation they need. Like, what a treasure trove of information. Like Christopher Steele and whatever he wrote about Donald Trump in 2015, 2016, that was all like, well, we can't find much, but this is what the rumors are. And now it's like, here's Mark Robinson just putting it right out in the open. Love that. All right, what else we got? Writing in a forum discussing Black Republicans. In 2010, Robinson wrote, "I am a Black Nazi." Lovely. There's your slogan. It's a Black Nazi versus Josh Stein, who is a Jewish man. That same month, Robinson wrote in another post he supported the return of slavery. Yeah, why not? Okay. Slavery is not bad. Some people need to be slaves. I wish they would bring it back. I would certainly buy a few. Is that okay? If that's a joke, I don't get it. If it's not a joke, what the hell is he doing? Also, what video are you watching where that's an appropriate comment? I don't know. He preferred the former leader of Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler, over the leadership in Washington during the administration of Obama. I'd take Hitler over any of the shit that's in Washington right now. My God, we need to teach history better. What else we got? Series of 7 posts in 2011. He disparaged MLK, calling him horrible things. Okay. He used anti-Semitic slurs when discussing good times. Come on. Oh, he gets worse when talking about Muslims. and homophobes and more horrible comments. Oh, hey, that's it. It just ends. Jesus. Okay, here's what Democrats need to do. They need to. No, no, I disagree, Keith. I don't think this seems like mental illness. I think this is just a guy who gets a rise out of trolling people. So he's just in the habit. He's only surrounding himself by people who say provocative things. And he's thinking to himself, what's the most provocative stuff I could say? And then he just puts it out there. Like, why? I sometimes think about things before I tweet them, and I'm like, you know what? Not this isn't helpful. This isn't amusing to anybody, so I'm not gonna do it. And this guy's like, not only am I gonna say it, I'm gonna say it on a porn site. Why not? I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I hope Democrats figure out what else this guy has done and said under that alias. I hope they run commercials on it. I hope they tie Donald Trump and every Republican on the ballot to this guy because he is one of the leaders in their party. He's not running for low level office. He's running to be governor of North Carolina. And if you're going to say shit like this and you get caught saying shit like this, then you deserve every single Democrat in North Carolina should be running on this right now. I don't know if Josh Stein plans to do it. I'm sure he's classier than that, but we don't want classy. Like, no, go use this against your opponent. He's already losing. Like, just don't take the high road and not talk about it. Like, go all in. And let's hope Mark Robinson stays on the ballot. Like, if you're a Republican, sorry, this guy's yours. You have to carry him to term now. That's your thing. Like, you're stuck with him and through the election. I'm amazed he said all that stuff. And now he has the audacity to be like, it wasn't me. Like, he could have easily said, I was a different dude back then. I said provocative things. I don't believe any of that stuff now. Instead, he's like, it wasn't me. It's like, but we have your picture. Nope, wasn't me. We have your email address. We know you did it. We have all the pictures. We know everything about this. And he's still trying to pretend it wasn't him. That's not going to last very long. He's going to say something